Die europäische eIDAS-Verordnung wird ja auf verschiedenen Ebenen diskutiert, weiterentwickelt, ausprobiert etc. Einer der wichtigsten Bausteine auf europäischer Ebene sind die Large-Scale Pilots. Wie im letzten Jahr freue ich mich sehr, dass wir auch dieses Jahr wieder, da sind sie schon im Bild, zumindest für mich, die Vertreter der Large-Scale Pilots bei uns haben. Ich switche jetzt ins Englische, weil zumindest 3 unserer 4 Gäste englischsprachig sind. Ich freue mich sehr, Dr. Moritz Heuberger bei mir im Studio begrüßen zu dürfen hier. And I say hello to David, Lluís and Thomas online. Good to see you guys.
Hi.
Oh, nice to see you.
Hi, nice to see you.
Hey, so we all met 1 year ago. Thomas, you're the exception, but I'll get to you in a second. First of all, I'm very happy to see you again. Thank you so much for taking the time again this year. We promised each other that we were going to meet here again this year. So let's go through it really quickly. If I could just ask everyone to give me like a brief update on your progress. What happened between May 23 and mid-April 24, and I'll give the benefit to Moritz to start, since he came all the way down to our studio. Moritz, your General Assembly of the Potential Consortium is in 2 weeks. Can you maybe already give us a first preview of what you're going to discuss there on the progress you've made?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you for the chance to meet again 1 year later. We made a lot of progress. 1 year ago, we were just starting the project. Now we're almost half time through the large-scale pilot potential consortium. And in 2 weeks, we meet in Athens, and we will discuss what we've reached so far, but as well we discuss the next phase, which will be the piloting phase, because for now we know all the specifications. We have a rough idea of how the interoperable framework could look like. We have the ARF in the latest version, and we will have interop events with LSP potential. That will be the next big step to see how the interoperability between national systems and national pilots can work. And from summer on, we want to start national testing, and then by the end of the year, start of next year, the cross-border testing of the prototypes of the different member states. So the difference between other LSPs and LSP potential is that in our large-scale pilot, the member states come with their own pilots, and we try to pilot the interoperability between cross-border. And yeah, that's the state now. And yeah, we are also discussing how to proceed regarding the very late release of the European reference application, the very late release of the latest ARF version, etc. So last year we thought that we would be a bit further than we are now, but that's due to the delays from the European level.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, what project is on time, right? David, you're next one in line, at least on my list. Thank you so much for joining. Your General Assembly already happened last week. And on one of the pictures that I saw on LinkedIn from your presentation actually said, it's time to pilot. Is it? Are you ready to pilot?
Yeah, we are. I think we're kind of in a similar situation as Moritz mentioned for potential. Of course, we would like to be a bit further, but we have a situation that we are in. However, I think we've done a lot of interesting work. We have done a lot of the scoping. We have worked with the specifications, mostly on our side on SDJ and kind of online and proximity, online and remote cases. We have already 4 to 6, depends a little bit on how to frame it, demo wallets ready for it's compliant with ARF and so on. So I think we're in a nice and good state to start piloting. course, in EWC, we work a lot with payments and travel. I think there will be some interesting things to show there. There already been end-use tests in Greece and in Hungary. So we're starting to move to kind of the real pilot phase. Also working with the kind of interoperability structures that we do have established in the consortia as well. One of the interesting findings is discussion points, maybe more. Since we do work with the legal person and wallets and legal person identity, which is of course part of the regulation, but hasn't been that kind of worked through neither in standardization or globally or in the EU actually, to be fair. One of our kind of assumption is that we for the scalability of the whole ecosystem and the whole interoperability, we need a wallet-to-wallet ecosystem where also the legal persons work with wallets. So that's something that's I think gonna be very interesting to see in this next year, and hopefully we can all of us do that together, because we come from a bit of different angles, but in the end it has to work for all of the European citizens and businesses.
Yeah, for sure. That's the ultimate goal. Lluís, I see you getting ready already. Thank you. Also, thank you for being here again. How's the blockchain doing?
Well, things are going. I think we are more or less all at the same point. We need to, at least on our case, due to the, let's say, the lack of some specifications, right? Either in the expert tool, in the RF, but also the library is supported by the reference wallet. 2 months ago, we took the decision to move forward. So, of course, we also have some interoperability lab, all this stuff, also the architecture for issuing and so on. But 2 months ago, we decided not to wait for the reference implementation that, as you already know, I assume, doesn't fully support the verifiable credentials stack. So we decided to move forward, and also thanks to some of the partners that they already have some let's say, PEPSI-conformant wallet, just being able to support the trust framework, the decentralized PKI trust framework. That's the one that characterizes, let's say, EC4U. So we decided to move forward, and I think in Rome, in the potential meeting, we will showcase a video just to demonstrate, let's say, but to move to pilot, and that means also establish the governance in place. That means also involve all the organizations, onboarding, and also end users and so on. We estimate a delay of 5 months due to the let's say the delay on the final approval of the IDAS, also the non-accessibility from LSPs to IRF and so on till 2 months ago. So that has an impact on, I assume, on all LSPs, but for us, it was specifically, and I think that will be it. So we are able to demonstrate how to request, how to issue, and so on. That what we will do in 2 weeks in Rome. That is already been demonstrated this week in also in Rome for social security use case in EC4U, within EC4U. But I think that for let's say piloting with real end users and organizations and so on, we will have a delay of between 5 and 6 months.
Okay, and is that something you anticipated to have this delay, and how are you adapting to this? Because I mean, 5 months is quite significant.
Yeah, no, I said we already identified the risk in last year, and in January we started to work with all the partners and strategic committee and so on, and then we decided to move forward. Of course, all the things that we will develop that will be, of course, available as open source libraries and so on. It can be reused by other LSPs, but also by the reference wallet. And what we did is just that. So we have all things in place that we also start from, let's say, from something that exists and is complete. So we will start from we can call it the EPSI profile, but at the end is the rule book that on how to issue, how to share, how to verify, and also how to make a selective disclosure using the verifiable credential data model that provided by WTCBC. And starting from that, we also expect to align, like EWC and so on, to the newest defined SDJ-BCDM, and that's a point for alignment, right? But we need to start from reality, from what exists, and that's what we'll do. And that's how, due to this risk mitigation, we'll be able to, let's say, have a delay, have an impact, of course, on real piloting of between 5 and 6 months. But as everything is in place, we just will focus on the business, let's say, side. This month, we will deliver the business blueprints for both social security and education. So all the rule books, and we will also make a proposal for sectorial rule books. And I think that's important because I think that's what should be done. So we'll make a proposal for the sectorial rule book for social security and education and professional qualifications. And of course, that also will be an output that the European Commission and the wallet provider should reuse on also the expert toolbook, the experts from the expert toolbook, to improve or to review and refine the ARF itself and so on.
Thank you for that answer, Thomas. Let's get you into the discussion. You're new to the group, so a warm welcome from all of us, I think. One of your roles with Netcompany in Brussels is to ensure interoperability, and that's the word that we've heard the most, I think, from all three of our panelists. How happy are you with the progress that the LSPs are making, both from an inside and an outside perspective?
Well, I think first of all, obviously we are part of the group around DG Connect initially, and so we're sitting in the middle of this. And I think David pointed out, obviously none of us was really happy with the political process that really pushed the release of the ARF that long as it did, and that means many of the LSPs are just starting to look at interoperability, because you have been really developing in an older version, and interoperability hadn't made a lot of sense. So it would be very, very hard for me to say I was disappointed, because I think everybody has tried to do what they could do. But I think moving forward here, this will be a focus, because now we have an official version out in the toolbox with the architecture, and I think now we can start, like they were saying, doing some pilots. But again, I think our role will be obviously supporting the LSPs, but also taking their feedback, because obviously from here on, it's not like we're sitting here with the final version. We need to learn from these pilots. We need to figure out what are the good use cases that will work in the interoperability space. Many of the countries right now are looking at their national applications. I mean, what can they put out to get some uptake and so on. So it's really primarily the LSPs that are looking at interoperability at this point, which of course is important, but it's probably not for all the member states very high on their list. But we will be supporting the LSPs in this effort. But to say I am disappointed, that would be probably shooting the arrow right back at myself. So that I am not.
Yep, that's probably clever of you to say. Moritz, I'll get back to you now. Last year, I rewatched a conversation that we had last year, the five of us. Last year, you said you were hoping to have a more clear idea of what the EUDI wallet is. And you were speaking more about it being a concept rather than a product. Do you stand by this assessment today, 1 year later, and do you have a clear idea of the EUDI wallet, or?
Yeah, many things are clearer now. Last year at the same time, we didn't have a final version of the EIDAS text. Now we have the text. Now we have a new version of the architecture and reference framework. Now we know much more about the idea of EUDI wallets. So I'm still talking in plural of wallets, as we still don't know how many wallets we will have. If it might be 27 wallets or more or less, it's still not clear. So in some kind, it's still a concept. But on the other side, we can imagine more clearly the idea of the product coming out of the concept or the product. So let me make one example. We had a discussion on operating models last year in autumn. The Commission was also taking part, and a lot of actors from civil society, from the industry, and we were discussing, for example, how a sustainable operating model of wallet apps, but also of background systems could work. And that's still completely clear that there are parts where you can imagine sustainable operating models, but there are also parts where it's hard to make the business profitable. So there are parts where you have to think about how to combine it with more profitable operations, or where you have to set the task for the government to provide certain infrastructure to set on top business models, because that's still a big discussion. I think that's also a difference between member states and difference between consortia, the understanding what part of the ecosystem could be in the market and which parts should be provided by governments.
I think that's an interesting point, because we were discussing this earlier, the concept open source versus business models, or if there is a versus, or if there's together. What do the others think, David? Maybe what do you think about this? Is there a place for business models in this, or?
It should be, but if we actually look at the IDES to text, the use of wallets for natural persons should be free. So it limits us, of course, a lot of the potential business models. With that, I can understand why you would like to have that as well, because there is certainly, I mean, it's not only about business models that kind of come with the right to identify yourself, and there is for sure a lot of leverage that can be done when people can identify themselves to other countries. But it puts some restrictions for the legal person wallets. There isn't that kind of restriction, so we think that should be an area where we'll find some opportunities, hopefully. But I agree with all of the Moritz points here, and we shouldn't forget, of course, there is a lot of implementation to be done here. We come to something like 40 to 60 implementing acts, as far as I know from the Commission, which is a huge amount of legal text. And then, of course, we have the member states' implementation of it, which, of course, starts from the member states' own perspective normally. So it will be a nice run for quite a few years, I think.
I see everyone nodding, but Thomas, I think you have a unique perspective on this as well, because Netcompany is also a provider in Denmark, I think, or not just in Denmark. What do you think? Where's the money at?
I think it's a very good point that there needs to be a good balance in this. I mean, what is the ownership of government as far as this infrastructure is contained, and which part can actually go in the market? And I think there are many business cases. The problem is that in many of these business cases, the owner of the business case and the person that actually gets the value is not necessarily aligned. So there will be different sectors that will have to look at how this can be used as a vehicle to maybe deliver services in a different way. And many of those business cases we haven't even seen yet. But I think, from the very foundation of this, with ID, being able to tie different documents to a person, and if we can get the legal person in here as well, I think that will also grossly enlarge the amount of business cases that we will see around this, because I think we are underestimating how much we need businesses to drive this development, and maybe allow government to be a little bit on the infrastructure side, if you will, as far as ID and other things go. And I'm also in agreement that we will see maybe a number of wallets, but they need to be interoperable. This is where it becomes critical. If you have the sector wallets or you have national wallets, whatever you have, they need to be able to be interoperable if the citizen and the users are to gain value out of this.
I think that the infrastructure part is a good one. You said that the governments should be more on the infrastructure side. Question I'm kind of looking at you, Moritz, because I think in Europe we have very different states of digital infrastructure depending on the member state. I mean, in Germany we're infamously, we're not at zero, but we're also not as developed as other countries. What do you think? Where do you see the government right now on the infrastructure side? How much work is there to be done? And do you think that the German government, for example, could or would be able in the future to provide such an infrastructure?
Yeah, definitely. I would say that the status quo is no country in the European Union does have an EIDAS 2.0 compatible wallet infrastructure. So we are all standing there without the infrastructure needed. So some countries might have a wallet, some of them might have to change 100% of their ideas to be EIDAS compatible. So for us, it's the situation we have a fully functional EID system, but no wallet yet. So it's something in between. I think it's a good starting point, and still, our chance, as we don't have a wallet yet, is that we can think fully European. That's something quite difficult when I talk with German partners, because they have special requirements, special ideas of what the German solution should do. Like they say, okay, like the German banks want a certain data points in the German wallet, or the German German authorities want certain criteria. And that's the point where I always say, if you have this requirement on the German solution, you should have this requirement to all European solutions. There's no requirement only true for the German solution, because in the end, there won't be any functionalities or any points which differentiate the German solution to other European solutions, and we have to think fully interoperable when developing it. And so I see this as a chance, like our status quo, to develop something which is truly interoperable.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Lluís, you were talking about your delay, and I don't want to hammer on this too much. But you also said you decided not to wait for the reference implementation and still move forward. I read on your website that you are planning. I'm not sure if I got that from your answer. To roll out the first user journey on May 1st, which is in 2 weeks. Is that also part of the delay, or can you already give us a first teaser of what this is going to look like?
Yeah. So quick answer, no, it's not, right? So that was expected last year, and that's what we shared that, right?
Right.
But I said before, due to the delay of the EIDAS regulation, the access to the architect reference framework and so on, and also the lack of implementation of support of all the requirements that we already share with the European Commission and the wallet provider more than 1 year ago about verifiable credentials and the specific profiles for BCDM, all this stuff. So due to all these points, we will have this delay, so it won't be on May this year, right? So it will be by the end of this year. Mm-hmm. I said before, we are talking about piloting. Another thing is provide demos, and that we already can do it, right? I said before. That means having a proper wallet, having an issuer, and then being able to request and store credentials. That will happen today, but enabling, right, all the governance. So filling, let's say, the trusted lists and being able to also involve not just the organizations that are involved, educational and professional qualifications, also security ones, but also real end users. That's another thing, and that's why we need all things in place. And then we also to properly manage the change management, right? So that means also being able to share, right, the new paradigm, to properly also gather and share and learn or teach, right, end users about the wallet itself, how to download, how to enable it, how to request credentials, what does it mean in practice, and so on. And of course, enable end-to-end services, right? User journeys. That means request, issuance, but then sharing and verification. And for that, we need to wait for those 5 months.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for your answer. I mean, the user journey is also a part of, or an important part of the IDA summit today. We had a panel on that this morning on how to develop, user-friendly wallets. So yeah, I'm happy to next year, Lluís, you're back on board, and then you'll tell us how you're doing, and we'll make this an even more central part of the summit. David, I wanted to ask you about the travel credentials, because last year I held a discussion on this with or on the digitization of travel credentials with German with German companies like Lufthansa, for example. This is not just a European use case, right? I mean, we all travel in Europe, but also above the frontiers of Europe. How confident are you, or are you already thinking about how to harmonize maybe the European travel credential system with other countries like the USA, for example?
Maybe not a role to harmonize that but we definitely think about it, and there are several ongoing discussions. So with ICAO, who has the DTC, and with IATA as well, and we're discussing with some member states that's part of already some pilots on DTC. So with the Netherlands, Finland, for example. And also with the DG Home on this. So we're trying to pull our weight in this, of course. But then it these are huge structures, of course, global structures and so on. But I think from a policy perspective, a European policy perspective, travel is a good case just for internal, but also for a kind of global adoption of the things we do with the wallet. So hopefully we will show the benefits of using the wallets in kind of travel scenarios, and then we hopefully can also kind of improve the situation for our global citizens.
Great. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing about that as well then next year. Time is almost up. We have 1 minute left. I don't see any questions from the chat, from the public. So I think I will just use the time to thank you all for coming. To wish you all good luck with your pilots, and yeah, EIDAS 25 is around the corner. I didn't see the year pass since last May, so I hope to see you all again then at the latest. And Moritz will hear more from you in 30 minutes already. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
for having us.
Thank you.